Hello, and welcome back to Roscoe Gaming. I'm Roscoe, and this is Planet Coaster. We're back in Glevum Manor. This is episode 4 of Glevum Manor Safari, and we've put the lake back in because every manor house needs a good lake. And we're going to put a roller coaster in. Now, I'd like to point out I'm not very good at building roller coasters. It's one thing I don't tend to do a lot of. I tend to plop the flat rides in, and as you've seen from previous Planet Coaster episodes, I don't really do roller coasters. The idea behind this one was very much loosely based on the Buffalo at Alton Towers. The Buffalo coaster is a family-friendly coaster that goes round in circles and very much like this, and that's what we've gone with. Somehow I've managed to put a fairy tale theme on this ride. It just sort of happened. Fluidly, these things happen. So this is it is a child's roller coaster, so we themed it towards children, and I really like how it turns out. The roller coaster is not the most exciting. As I said, I will improve on roller coaster building. I'm not one of these people who knows a lot about roller coasters. In all fairness, I don't ride many roller coasters, and I should probably do my research into it. But it does the job. I've used a couple of items off my workshop. The pink cat, which is my most popular item that I've ever made. I made that back in 2016. So that was one of the first items I uploaded onto the workshop. We bring him in. We also bring in some bunnies that I found on the workshop, really fat little bunnies, which I think are adorable. And I would have tried to make them myself out of pieces, but the size of them is perfect, and I'd never be able to make them that small out of the pieces Blanco provides me. We do make a little princess tower. That was quite exciting. And I'm really happy with how the princess turned out. I hope you like it as well. Now, you're going to see me mess around with this roller coaster for quite a while. I'm going to delete it and build it and delete it and build it. And I kept catching the water there, which was annoying me because it was nowhere near the water. So I'm not really sure how I got a splash on the water. And then, do you think I could get it to go over this bank? No. So we get rid of it and start again. And I still think it fails, if I remember correctly. It took me so long to get this roller coaster anywhere near. Yeah, see, here we go. I keep trying to send it up and I just don't have enough speed to get it up, so we're going to go down instead, I think. Ultimately, in the end, it turns out really nicely. I've left the colour scheme as it is. The pink and green works really well with the colour scheme. I've changed the cars and how they match the sign that I built, which you'll see at the end of the video. Again, I was really happy with the sign. It turned out better than I was expecting. I'm getting better and better. Well, not better and better. I'm getting more used to building with the shape pieces. And as you can see, I've used those in last episode and this episode we use them. And they are really handy items. I'm just not great with them. But I am improving, that's the main thing. We go for a lot of foliage around the roller coaster. British parks tend to have trees and bushes and plants everywhere. I'm trying to keep the path in so it's more winding plazas than paths, because theme parks just don't have paths connecting up this and this. A lot of the ground is just big plazas. They may not be. The only option we've got in Planet Coaster is square plazas, but like I'm trying to use the path into the best of my ability to make them winding and fitted in just large pathing areas. And I think it turns out quite well. I had a couple of pieces in the plaza that I do leading up to the coaster that I just couldn't get the path to cover. So we end up putting a couple of trees in, which works really nicely. It gives it a bit of breaks up the plaza a little bit, but doesn't look out of place. And as you can see, I'm still trying to get this roller coaster around this track. I'm not sure if this is my last. No, is that my last? No, it's not. The end piece doesn't work at all. I really have to change. I'm sure I put another lift hill in. So we have the main lift hill, which gets us to this point, and then we have another lift hill, which gets us around the rest of the coaster. Now, I'm a bit concerned that I've put the islands in for the Chimpanzee Island and Gorilla Island that you saw me create in Glevum Manor. But I'm a bit concerned I'm a bit close to the ride and all the noise would upset the animals. But it's sort of like a hard balance trying to think about how the animals would feel and then trying to get your rides in as well. So I'm going to try to my best of my ability to keep the rides and the animals separate. The chimpanzees are on their own little island, so it should be fine. It shouldn't bother them. That's what I'm going with, and I'm sticking with it. Plus, you'll have a great view of this roller coaster of those islands. We've also... I don't know, I've lost my train of thought. We're still trying to get this roller coaster to finish the course. I needed more speed. Ideally, I should have stripped it all back and put a bigger lift hill in it. But I didn't want it to go too fast. It is a child's coaster, so I wanted it to be a little bit quick, but not too quick. And I think I've pulled that off quite nicely. At some points it starts off, like at the top of the second lift hill, it starts off slowly going around a loop, helix, I don't know what you want to call these things. It's slowly, and then it picks up speed and picks up speed and picks up speed, and it's quite a big, round, sweeping turn, so it works really nicely for the end of the ride. And in the middle of these circles is the ideal place to place scenery, as you'll see me in a bit once I've decided that I'm happy with... Well, I say happy. Once I'm content with the layout of the coaster. Seriously, like, I know it's called Planet Coaster, but I do tend to avoid coasters like the plague because I'm rubbish at building them. And I just feel I don't want you to feel cheated if I use a ready-made one, so I am going to do my best and build as many of the coasters myself as I can. You'll just have to forgive me for my crappy building techniques. But as you see, the coaster is now making it all around. It works really nicely. And I think I still tweak a bit and try and get a bit of speed up. I reduced the amount of cars on the train. That seems to build up the speed a lot better than it did beforehand, because there was a lot of cars on it. It was quite a long train. So I've knocked a couple of those off. Yes, we're not going to get as many people around in each turn, but it's not the longest ride in the world anyway. So it should work out quite nicely. We're just putting some foliage and trees in. Again, trying to remember that we don't want the foliage overhanging the track and things like that. And I think I did a good job about that. I feel more and more confident with my planting abilities. Now I'm looking for some groups of trees off my... There he is! There's the pussycat! The pussycat from my tool workshop. The oldest toolkit item oldest workshop item I've put in, and I love him. He does pop up a lot when I'm playing this game. Not in my videos, he will pop up on this ride and probably that's it. Here's the big fat rabbits that I really like. I love the cartoony fatness of them, and as you can see the size of them, there was no way I was going to be able to build that out of pieces. They're sat around a water feature clock that I made, and that's on my workshop. That's been on my workshop for ages, and I've never really found the ideal place to put it, and then it just seemed to work so well on this coaster, and like it's sort of a nod to Alice in Wonderland. The big clock, the rabbits, it's just a nod. I don't want to make it like, yes, this is Alice in Wonderland, because it's not, but it's a nod to fairy tales and stories like that. The pussycat, again, I suppose you could, because he's pink, he is quite a nod to the Cheshire Cat, but I swear I'm not building an Alice in Wonderland roller coaster. It just seems to be going that way. I really struggled with the path. I wanted the coaster to start up high, because if I remember correctly, the Buffalo coaster in Glevum Manor starts up high. It doesn't go up a lift hill or anything. It might do. I can't remember. I was a child when I went there, but I remember the station is set up off the ground. So we went for that. And I really struggled trying to make the path look natural part of the building. And I ended up using some of the fence pieces, in-game fence pieces, which are planks of wood all painted different colours, and it works so nicely. Like at the minute, the ramp that I'm building is made out of brick. That changes. We go for rough concrete. The main base of the station stays as brick. I like the idea that they've done as little as possible to theme this building. So they've themed the queue up to it, because that takes up most of the front of the building anyway. And they themed the actual station on top, but there wasn't. Why waste money doing the base? No one really sees that. And here you can see we're getting more of an idea how it's going to look with the rough concrete, and I think it looks really nice. It's a nice contrast to the brick base of the building, and I had to play around with it a bit, and I did the same thing a lot of people do and put the walls on the wrong part and then have to move them again. Like here, I moved them and go, no, that's not going to work. And then later on I moved them again because I changed my mind on how I'm going to do it. So again, you should be used to this with my videos. Whenever I'm building a building, it never turns out like it starts. I start off and go, yes, this is what I want, and then it evolves and looks nothing like that. But that's a good thing. Ultimately, I think they look quite nice by the time I finish with them. Concrete is cheap, and it fits the theme. It fits the budget theme, and this ride is disabled friendly now, with this massive ramp going up to it. And I was going to put stairs exiting the ride at one point. And then I went, well, that's ridiculous, because if you've got a disabled friendly entrance, you might as well have a disabled friendly exit. And I think I struggled more with deciding what to do with the exit than I did with the entrance. With the entrance, I had an idea of what I wanted to do. With the exit, I had no idea. At one point, you'll see me thinking about building a bridge across the road, which would have been ridiculous. But in my head, it made sense at the time. So ultimately, with the exit mimics the entrance. It also acts as a nice barrier to keep people away from the coaster and things like that. Here's the fences that I used, and I really like these fences. I think it worked really nicely. You've got like the cheap fencing painted in the colours to theme the building and make it look childlike, and it hasn't cost the park very much to do this at all. Like, they could change the theming of this coaster anytime they wanted, just by removing those fences and putting something different up. And I think that's a really nice way of doing it. It feels like they haven't put much effort into the theming, but what they have done works. Now I'm just putting the archer in to see if it is child-friendly height, and it really was not a child-friendly height. So we go back to raising the concrete, which means I put it on the other plane now, so I have to change it all back to how it was. And that means my circle, my curved end at the one end is out, which I need to work on anyway because I didn't like it how it was, so we changed that slightly. Yeah, a lot of variations of this station. It just sort of evolved. Every now and again I got a brainwave and went, oh, I'll do that. And then I'd go off and try to do something else, and then something else would strike in my head, and I'd go, oh, that's a good idea, we'll do that. And then I'd come back to it, and it's taken me a good several hours to build this station. But I do hope you like the finished article. I think it really fits in with the theming of the ride, and it's not over the top theming. It is very cheap and easy to maintain theming, which Glevum Manor is on a budget after all. Once the park gets to a bigger stage and we're on the outskirts of the park, it would have made its money by then. It would be more popular. You'd have more people coming into the park, so they would spend more money onto it. So we can up the budget as we evolve outwards. But at the moment, this would have been one of their first coasters. It would have been an early ride they put in, and we are going budget. Now I'm just trying to make a plan to here. Those blue fence in the background, I just wanted it so it didn't look see-through, and that would have worked really well. They're just slightly too big, so we end up going with a stone planter in the middle, and they've just slapped this fence on the outside to keep it in theme. But I'm really happy with how these turned out. I was thinking, oh, that'll be really nice over with all these plants in, and then I started putting the plants in. I went, the plants were a bit bigger than I was expecting, so I think we just go with a little bush like this with the pink flowers on. And we use it just for that bit there, so we don't have to mess around with the fences meeting up and things like that. Yeah, we could have messed around with it, but I do think it adds to the theming as well and gives it a bit of colour. And we're going to use them at the entrance as well to hide those hideous bollards that they put in, which I really hate. Like why? Why do we want them? No one uses them. Every YouTuber I ever watch covers them up. So remove them. Just let us connect the path to the thing and build our own little entrance thing. We do not need those ugly bollards. But, sorry, having a rant about the bollards there. But they're in the game, so at least it gives us an excuse to cover them up. So that's pretty much it for the entrance. The fence is done. We're going to put some more planting in. I really like the rough concrete and the colourful fences, and I just think it works really nicely. Now we're going to start messing around with this corner because it just doesn't quite work. In the end, oh no, I've already messed around with it. We're just putting the fencing on it. It does work! Haha! And I just remembered whilst doing this video, I forgot to go in and actually put some flooring on that corner piece, so that is just a pure drop at the moment. I will get round to that. Now we're going to start work on the station itself. Again, keeping in the themes, we're going to go for pastel colours. Very much going to use the same fencing again. This is just a shelter to keep the trains dry overnight and any maintenance. Obviously, if it breaks down, they'll have to close it and they can do the maintenance in that shed. And it's more practical than good looking, so they go for the same fencing. It does the job, it fits the theme, and I think we put a bit like, I suppose last time I seen a roof like the roof we put on this would have been Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 sort of roof, where you had the two, it starts going up on a steady slope and then the middle piece is a much steeper slope. I'm not explaining it very well, you'll see it in a minute, and I think it works really nicely. Now we're still putting fencing in. This isn't the most exciting video for you, and sadly you have to put up with me babbling on in the background. But that's all part of watching my videos. So on the next episode, I'm not really sure where I'm going to go. I think we need to get some flat rides in. We do need to look at bringing in some animals would be good. The whole idea of this park is to have enclosures and rides and very much like Longleat and things like that. So we need to look at bringing in some enclosures. We've got the buildings from the previous park, like the reptile house. I'm not sure if I want to use the reptile house building or just rebuild a new one. Like, it just seems a bit grand and city-like for a park. I really like it. I think I did a lovely job on the entrances especially, and the interior could have done with a bit of work, but it just feels too big and city-like, like to be plonked in our... Let's be fair, it's going to be bigger than most of the buildings in the park, so I'm not really sure what to do with that. We could do a really heavily themed one. I'm thinking like a round building that looks like a hill with big trees growing out of it, and so it all fits in. But that would be expensive for the park, and I'm not sure. It's going to be very much one of those buildings that evolves as I build it, I think. Here we go, messing around with the exit, and I cut the exit out. You don't even need to watch me mess around with it. We've just gone straight to the little princess tower. Now, I didn't want a very big tower, I just wanted it so it looked the part. They wouldn't have spent a lot of money. We go for the concrete floor inside, so you can clearly see they've only themed the outside. It is pretty much concrete and plastic. I did think about making it ridiculous colours and then changed my mind. Because I showed my boyfriend and he pulled a face like he was going to be sick, so I returned it back to grey. Now we're just going to put some foliage around. I really like the climbing plants in Planet Coaster, like the ivies and this plant here. I could use it all the time. It just sort of brings the building to life. It incorporates it into nature, and I love them. And now we're building our princess. I do this quite quickly and I don't mess around either. I was really impressed with how the vision in my head worked in with the shape pieces, and it seemed to come together really nicely. So straight away we've got a basic princess shape. The hair I was a bit concerned about, but I just went for it and I just kept sort of adding and turning, and it turns out really nicely. She's just like this little adorable princess stuck on the top of a tower waiting to be saved. You might look at it and go, oh my god, what is that? But I think it looks adorable. It's not a highly detailed figurine, but it does the part, and it wouldn't have been too expensive to make either. It's, I presume, fiberglass or something like that. So we've got a hair in, we're going to put some eyes in now, and a nose, and a little smiley face. Mouth. The mouth actually is perfect. I love the mouth, it's my favourite thing about her. But I did it by mistake. I wasn't really sure how I was going to do the mouth, and then I sunk it in too far, and it just gave me this perfect little smile. You'll see me do it in a minute, and it just here. I go up, and then bosh! Perfect! I was like, that's amazing. We're going to go with that. That was completely by mistake. I didn't mean to do it, but I will be using that technique in the future. Now we put it on top of a castle, and we're going to do some lighting now. Because obviously with the theming, we do want it lit up at night. We do want them to be able to see the things, but we don't want the lights to be in their face sort of thing, so we have to hide those away. I love putting green lights under plants. You're probably going to see me do it several times in the future. And I just think it makes it feel, I don't know, I've always liked the look of it with the green lighting up underneath the plant, and you've still got the dark tops and the plants, and it looks lovely. If you don't agree, I'm afraid that's tough really, because I'm playing the game, so I will go with the green lighting. We go for a bit of a pink light round the cat. So you've got 3 areas in the coaster, and I think they work really well together. They're not too themed, they don't shout out that they're something they're not. They are just related to fairy tales. Now we're going to go with the name and the sign. I tried to make the sign as close to the actual train as possible. This is the colours we've gone for on the train, with the yellow bottom and the pink top. We're going to call it Slugabebug. And I put the writing on in this colour, and I ultimately decided to change it. At the end you'll see a couple of screenshots. I just don't think the writing stands out enough, so we change the writing to green, and we start working on the face of the bug. Now the mouth was a nightmare. I knew what I wanted, but trying to make it happen... Excuse me, I'm choking. I knew what I wanted, but trying to make it happen was really hard work. And then halfway through, you'll see this end very abruptly. That is because the game crashed on me. And I was like, no, please tell me I haven't lost my sign. I know it's very simple to make, but it's just easier if I haven't lost it. Because I just came up with this idea to do the mouth, and in my head it made sense and I knew exactly what I was doing, and then it crashed. But as you can see there, the sign turns out really nicely. We put a little tongue on it, and I just think it says everything it is about riders. And that's it. We're at the end of the episode. We've done our first roller coaster in Glevum Manor Safari. There will be many more to come in the future. Just don't hold your breath about them being the best roller coasters in the world, because they won't be. I've done some lighting around the exterior, as you can see. I really like the lights in the wall there that light up the path. This is just showing you the view from the front of the park, so you can see how it fits in with everything else, and I think it fits in really nicely. Considering how how high it is, it doesn't stand out too much, and I think that's really important. And then we just do an aerial view of how the park's looking so far. So I hope you enjoyed the episode, and until next time, I'll see you again.